The Central African Republic's Prime Minister has unveiled a post-coup government of Séléka rebels and the former opposition party. The ministers would be sworn in later this week. The self-proclaimed president of the country, Michel Djotidia, added that the post of defense minister to his job titles. Now, the announcement comes as South Africa questioned its military involvement in the country as the coup took hold. President Jacob Zuma told CNBC Africa that he believes South Africa still had a role to play in the Central African country.
Countries have constitutional things, how they relate to others. There has been, there still is, a bilateral agreement militarily between these two countries, which was signed and sealed and is there. South Africa did not just walk there. It was done more than 5 years ago because there were particular needs that were negotiated by that government. They needed their soldiers to be trained. There were other activities related to the army that they were going to undertake. So the mandate of our force, our unit that has been there, was to do that job, and they've been doing it over the years. Now, if that agreement exists, once there's a problem, you can't say as a country, because we are being attacked by the rebels, no, sorry, that agreement is gone, we are now packing our bags. Life does not go that way. What, therefore, we did, because we had a particular number of soldiers, once we realized that there was this situation, we needed to protect, firstly, our material as well as our soldiers. And that's why we then, when we were extending the agreement, felt that we needed a particular number of soldiers to be there and agreed that would be the case. Although we did not send the whole number that was necessarily agreed to by Parliament and by all of us. We sent this one because we thought they would be able to hold the fort. There's an agreement. Now, once the rebels take over, we are in that country. I think it will be very funny. As soon as the rebels take over, we then run away, get to the plane and run away. Because we're there legally. There's an agreement. Bear in mind that that agreement, when they met recently to make peace between the rebels and the government in Libreville, that agreement did not say we no longer need this agreement. That government continued with the agreement. So we are there legally on an agreement. You have to interact with those people there, no matter what shape, to say what happens to this agreement.
So, Mr. President, are you saying that our troops will stay there and interact with whoever is now in power?
I'm saying our troops will sit there. Firstly, AU, the region, they are discussing what happens. And we are also consulting with all of them because they know we have our troops there. It is the results of those discussions which will indicate what happens. For an example, the rebels are there, said to us, we are not fighting you. I think they issued a statement apologizing. So at the moment, we are not fighting with them. We're not fighting. We defended ourselves when they attacked our base. But the discussion is going to take place within that region as well as AU. What happens to this regime? Is it going to stay or not? Now, I'm told the leader has said he's removing the constitution, the parliament, the judiciary. He's going to decree that he rules for 3 years. Very powerful person. Can give himself such time just to rule. Is that accepted? Africa does not accept that. And as I said, there is a constitution in that country which says, in the absence of a president, what then do you do? In other words, whilst these ones who are there were part of the Libreville agreement, there's going to be a discussion, should they remain on their own or should we take the route of the constitution? That in itself is going to say, at the end, because we had a job to undertake, which I think is still needing us whilst we're there, whatever comes out, if, for an example, you end up with illegitimate government, taking over. It means cancelling the constitution, parliament, everything. It means if that becomes the status quo, if that becomes the thing to continue with, it means the conditions under which we reach that agreement are gone and will have no reason to be there. But supposing they follow the constitution and therefore an illegal entity is going to be there, will then interact with the entity, that government. Are we still allowed to continue with that agreement or not? That is going to be determined by that situation. These calls that why South Africa is a must come back, you don't act like that in government. This is government. It's not like your own home. You can take your washing and put outside and bring it back. You work according to the rules of agreements. And at the moment, no one, even if you wanted to check what's this, who do you discuss with? This is going to be clarified by the events that are going to come from AU, that are going to come from the region, the final decisions, what type of government you have, that will then be determined by that situation. Leaving aside that militarily, you don't move like that as if we're running away, because now things have changed. You have got to deal with the situation properly, in a decent way. I don't think we want to ridicule South Africa to other people who are going to say, these South Africans, they come here on missions of peace. Once there are problems, they run like we've never seen before. We can't do so.
What about those who say that we are losing lives there, Mr. President, and that should we be risking South Africans' lives in a foreign country?
No, we lost lives. There's no fighting anymore. And the bandits have said, we are not fighting with you. They've actually issued an apology. We are not talking about they're about to attack or whatever. So that's a different matter. We had a battle, which was a serious battle. For more than 9 hours, they fought until the sun set and resumed the fighting the following day. Mark you, these were just over 200 facing more than 1,000, between 1,000 and 3,000. But I'm sure South Africans should be saying we've got soldiers here who could defend this country, given what has happened. But that's not the issue. The issue is we are not losing any lives, because that in itself would have determined what do we do. You could have, instead of coming back to South Africa, could have moved to a friendly country nearby, because once you have a situation militarily, people want to discuss military when which they don't know. You would have said, do you retreat? How far do you retreat? For what reasons? And you would have to look at the issues I'm talking about at a safer position. You could have taken a decision. So it's not a simple matter. It's a matter that you have got to follow certain principles, certain rules, and also take into account the politics of the continent. That is not just an individual national issue of one country. It's actually an AU issue, it's a regional issue.